Disney World with a toddler can be magical. It can also fall apart really fast if you make a few common mistakes. Then the hard part is, a lot of these mistakes don't feel like mistakes at the time. As a local who goes to Disney World often with my 2-year-old, I've seen what consistently works and what consistently guarantees exhaustion, meltdowns, and is this even worth it feeling? So in this video, I'm sharing the biggest 7 mistakes parents make at Disney with young kids and how to avoid them. Hi, I'm Christina, a wife and mom of 3. And this video isn't about the perfect itinerary or doing Disney the right way. It's about a mindset shift and small decisions that can completely change how your day feels. Mistake number 1 is treating Disney World like a once-in-a-lifetime sprint. That's hard with a toddler. They need a slower pace. I'm very guilty of this. I love going from rope drop to fireworks, or park open to park close, and I love maximizing every moment of the day, scheduling which rides we go on, when, and making sure I'm getting my money's worth of my time and my energy, and even creating a binder where I have everything scheduled. Just me? Okay. If you've done this, let me know in the comments. There's a lot of pressure, to get this Disney vacation right. But as I said, when you're coming with a toddler, that's not the best mindset to have, because that's not what they're thinking. They're thinking of what they need or want at the moment. I know, I've made this mistake a lot. So the key here is flexibility. Don't schedule everything in pen, schedule things in pencil, and don't schedule every moment of the day. You can do time blocking, where in the morning you're going to prioritize this, early afternoon, prioritize this. Late afternoon, prioritize this. Maybe have an idea of where you want to eat. But just make sure everything is in pencil, because you don't know what your toddler is going to need or what you're going to need middle of your Disney trip. Especially when you're considering the next mistake, which is mistake number 2, underestimating how big Disney World is. So I've said this in many of my other videos too. Disney World is massive. It is the size of San Francisco, so you can't park up easily. You can't even go from your hotel to a park very easily. Sometimes even walking through your resort takes a while. So you don't realize how much time and energy it takes just to even get to a park. Buses and monorails can have really long waits or could be super full by the time they get to you. Folding strollers, that takes a lot of energy when getting into a bus. Walking from parking lots, or just like I said, through your resort, can take a lot of time and energy. And of course, the heat, which shows up before 10 a.m., just sucks it right out of you. So the best thing you can do is budget the time needed early in the morning. I recommend budgeting an hour and a half of time to get from your hotel room to the parks. That factors in waiting for transportation, walking, anything else that comes up. I know an hour and a half sounds like a lot, but it also allows for flexibility when traveling with small kids. I mean, your toddler can already feel pretty tired by the time you even scan into the park. But despite those feelings setting in earlier than expected, you still want to make sure you're making the most of your time throughout the day, which makes the next mistake even more tempting. Skipping breaks because they seem fine. Yep, your toddler could seem fine in the moment. This is also a mistake that I've done multiple times, because my toddler will seem fine for the moment. But here's the thing, overstimulation builds quietly. Toddlers can crash suddenly and out of what seems nowhere, leaving you frustrated and just flabbergasted of what to do. So that's why I highly recommend scheduling breaks throughout your day. Breaks need to be prioritized because they prevent meltdowns. They don't reward meltdowns. Get it? So when you're planning out your park day, prioritize those breaks first, and then figure out when to do your must-do rides and attractions. Maybe try to keep to their eating and sleeping schedule as close to home life as possible, even though you're on vacation, so everything's different anyways. But schedule those breaks to when you need to sit and just chill, snack, play on a playground. Anything that doesn't involve confining them to one place or in a line. Some parks are better at this than others, but all of them have spaces that you can go and chill, like the baby care center, for example. But sometimes when we prioritize rides second, we can prioritize the wrong rides. And before I get there, if you're finding this video helpful, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button? Because I have lots of videos sharing tips of what actually works at Disney with young kids from personal experience. Now, mistake number 4 is prioritizing adult rides over toddler joy. Now, I'm not saying don't prioritize any adult rides. You definitely should. What I am saying is not to structure the day around them, because those adult rides can lead to longer waits. And even when you use rider switch, which makes it possible for the grown-ups to take turns riding the ride while the other waits with the toddler, you're still missing out on enjoying the experience together as a family. And the rider switch, it takes time out of your day. And if you do too many adult rides and experiences in a row, then your toddler will inevitably get bored and demand attention. You know what I'm talking about. Now, the park doesn't have to revolve around your toddler, but the rhythm of the day does. So mix up the schedule a bit. Maybe do an adult ride first in the morning and then do a few family, toddler-friendly things next. And then hit another rider switch ride afterwards. Just say mix things in throughout the day. But even as we're planning our day, sometimes we can add too much pressure without even realizing it. And that brings us to our next mistake, which I am very guilty of: overbooking dining reservations. Now, I fully believe that dining is an important part of the vacation experience, especially when you're at Disney, because there are so many amazing food options. There's lots of YouTube channels all about food at Disney. And I've been very guilty of booking a lot of sit-down restaurants while I'm on vacation because I want to try as much as I possibly can. And I think it'll make it easier because it's a nice break in the day. But what I don't factor in is that my toddler doesn't consider it as a break from the day. She considers it as something confining that she can't get away from. Because a sit-down meal involves waiting to be seated, longer time at the table, your toddler stuck to an uncomfortable high chair, and it really limits their ability just to be themselves. Now, there are ways to entertain your toddler while you are at a table service meal that you can actually have on hand, like a little coloring book or a little mini toys that your toddler can play with, or even a napkin and a straw can sometimes make great toys. But if you're eating at a table service meal every single day, those distractions can get boring very quickly, especially later in your vacation when your toddler's already feeling pretty overstimulated and exhausted. So even though a structured table service meal may sound really easy, it can also backfire. Like, my toddler definitely had a meltdown at Ohana's for their character Lilo and Stitch breakfast. And there was nothing we could do about it to calm her down, except for like one of us to leave the restaurant and go hang out in the lobby. So learn from my mistakes and don't plan too many sit-down meals. Some, yes, absolutely recommend, but just not every day. And speaking of eating, one of the simplest mistakes to fix is the next one: not planning snacks strategically. And if your toddler's anything like mine, they love their snacks. And this mistake we've actually gotten really good at preventing. But a lot of parents underestimate the power of snacks. So when you combine heat and walking and overstimulation, you are going to want to eat. And your toddler is also no exception. Except you're probably going to want to eat bigger meals, whereas they will just be satisfied with smaller bites, especially ones that are high in protein and less sugar. And it's best to time those snacks just like you would time them at home and make them as close to that time as possible to prevent those hangry meltdowns. I mean, we pack snacks in our backpack for every time we're at Disney and we just take the whole backpack on the ride with us. So if we're waiting in line and she needs a snack, it's right there in our backpack, easy to get. And if you don't bring snacks from home, they have some available either at your resort or in the main stores at every park, like Mickey Goldfish or pretzels or things like that just sustain your little one for the time they need it. Now, and finally, this is a mistake I see first-time families make all the time: getting into over an hour-long wait. Now, some days the parks are really busy and those long waits are really unavoidable. But there's usually always another option that you can do with a lower wait. That being said, if the ride that you really want to go has a 90+ minute wait, well then go for it, because that is your must-do ride. Or with a little strategic planning, you could go on that ride without waiting such a long time. Because if you do get in that long wait with your toddler, you could be facing a meltdown in your arms, a meltdown on the floor, a meltdown on the ride. See where I'm going with this? Or a hangry toddler, or feelings of parent guilt because your child is screaming and everyone else is giving you those looks. You know what I'm saying? But you've already waited so long, you just want to wait it out a little bit longer, thinking that that's the best option. And it probably won't be. Does it sound like I'm speaking from experience? Because I am. Now, my threshold is a 45-minute wait or less with my toddler. And I'm going to explain how I do that in my next video. But ultimately, those line meltdowns are totally avoidable with just a little pre-planning to strategically go on those rides at times when the waits aren't as long, and going on other things when the lines are really long. Disney with a toddler doesn't fall apart because toddlers are difficult. It usually falls apart because we expect too much. Guilty right here. And if you want help figuring out which rides your toddler can actually go on, well, check the description for my free attraction guide that breaks it all down by high requirement and parks, and little notes so you know what to expect. And in my next video, I'm going to share the Disney day schedule that completely changed how we navigate the parks with young kids. Because avoiding mistakes is one thing, but having a simple rhythm for the day makes it even easier. So I'll see you over there. Have a magical day. Bye.